Hello everybody, this is Dumpster Cat. Welcome back to another video. In this one we're going to be reviewing some Brothers War spoilers and how they can apply to BGX Midrange and Pioneer. Just got a few ones so far. I will be posting more videos if more playable cards come up in the future. However, thus far I just want to get out the content now just to express my opinions. It's kind of a shorter format video. So I hope you enjoy. Alright, so the first one is a really cool reprint in Go for the Throat. Just instant speed, 2 mana, destroy target non-artifact creature. This is really pretty nice news for us as BGX midrange players. Always love to see a catch-all removal spell. Although we do have access to Assassin's Trophy and Abrupt Decay already, which are very premium removal spells in the format. Let alone just in our colors in general. So, you know, there is some controversy surrounding the 2-drop slot in terms of removal. Despite that, I think that Go for the Throat is a direct upgrade to other 2 mana destroy target creatures such as like Heartless Act, Power Word Kill, Infernal Grasp. I do think that the non-artifact creature clause is going to be the most relevant for us. I don't think there are going to be that many artifact creatures in the format, at least for now. And so I think, although Go for the Throat could be less powerful than, say, like an Assassin's Trophy or even Abrupt Decay being, you know, more of a flexible slot in terms of being able to hit non-land permanents, I do think that Go for the Throat is a very powerful card. I think I would probably not start this in the main deck, however. I would probably just go 1 in the sideboard, just as, like I said, a catch-all removal spell for any type of big creature that we need to be afraid of. You know, like I said, we already do have Assassin's Trophy. I think Trophy is pretty well-oriented in the format already, with a lot of people, or a lot of players not playing any basics, or at least very few basics, and being able to hit Planeswalkers. With the addition of Leyline Binding, Trophy has gotten better in my opinion. And so I think there is, like I said, some controversy between Go for the Throat and Assassin's Trophy. However, it's really fun in reprint, and I think that it'll see at least a little bit of play. Next up is a very exciting one, Diabolic Intent, a demonic tutor with the additional cost of having to sacrifice a creature. Very, very powerful card. However, in my opinion, doesn't really fit into BGX midrange in particular. I think that this is not a very midrange-esque, you know, rock type of card. It's resource negative, having to sacrifice a creature to get another creature. You're not generating any sort of card advantage unless the creature you're finding does provide some sort of like ETB effect or late game effect that has some sort of card advantage inevitability attached onto it. However, taking into account the creatures that we already are playing in BGX midrange, say like Scavenging Ooze, Tenacious Underdog, Werewolf Pack Leader, Graveyard Trespasser, these are cards that we don't want to sacrifice, right? I feel like in a deck like, say, Greasefang, or even a deck like Golgari Sacrifice, where you're really wanting to hit like a Collected Company or Bolas's Citadel, Diabolic Intent is much more impactful and efficient there and effective there, rather than the mid-range archetype. So at least in the BGX archetype as a whole in Pioneer, I think Intent is really nice. However, in mid-range specifically, it's a bit underpowered, not very efficient in terms of the resource you have to put into it. But still a really cool art, a really cool card with really sweet art, and I really like it nonetheless. Okay, next up we have Gix's Command, the black command in the cycle of 5 that we've been seeing so far. Have not seen the green one yet, so you know, I've got my eyes out on that one. Hopefully that'll be nice for mid-range. However, the black one is, you know, right off the bat, not too powerful in my opinion. 5 mana is quite steep. However, my thoughts on this card is it can be a Wrath effect with being able to destroy each creature with power 2 or less, and making the opponent sacrifice a creature with the highest power among creatures they control. So in that way, knowing that we don't play too many 2-drops, it could be almost an asymmetrical wrath effect, so that's, you know, kind of interesting to think about. So, you know, one, you know, this is a wrath effect. Two, it could be a value generation card, being able to get creatures back from the graveyard. However, with that being said, we, as a mid-range deck, we don't want creatures in the graveyard in the first place. However, by turn 5, it could be likely that we do have some creatures, at least one or two, to bring back, or that we may want to bring back. However, you know, 5 mana is a lot, and we're likely going to be only casting this card in one turn without any other cards thereafter. And so I think that it's a really nice resource generation piece, but it's a very, very slow card, and so the tempo is gonna not be very efficient. If this card was more aggressively costed, say like 3 or 4 mana with lesser effects, then I'd be more interested in it, because we could get you know, play this card, get back like a creature or 2 creatures from the graveyard, play like one of them, keep one in hand, and then say like buff 1 creature up, something like that, or, you know, destroy one of the bigger creatures. Could be more interesting if this card was more aggressively costed, but just as is, probably will not see play in BGX midrange. Alright, next up we have Dreams of Steel and Oil, a really, really metal name, and art in fact, so I really like this card right off the bat. And it's a really nice effect, nice Thoughtseize effect, being able to get rid of an artifact or creature from the opponent's hand, exiling it, and then choosing another artifact or creature from the graveyard, and then exiling that as well. So a really, really powerful effect. Very relevant to Pioneer, in fact, being a graveyard-centric format with the relevance or prevalence of Greasefang, Phoenix, even like Rakdos midrange or mono green, with the likes of Kroxa, Graveyard Trespasser, Cavalier of Thorns, those types of cards. So I really, really like the exile effect. It kind of reminds me of an Agonizing Remorse, but more aggressively costed, of course. So I really like this card. Not sure that it'll see main deck play, just because only being able to hit artifacts or creatures is a bit problematic, especially with the amount of combo and control on the format, although those are the lesser seen archetypes that that are present in the format right now. They still exist, and so the risk of this being just a whiff is pretty likely, or at least, you know, fairly likely, I would say. So I can definitely see this in the sideboard, at least. Just the effect of being so good against Greasefang is what I really like about this card. Being able to take like their Greasefang or one of their vehicles from hand, and then exiling another Greasefang or another vehicle from the graveyard is just really, really nice. Really, really nice 2-for-1 potential in that sense, being able to stall out the game even more for the mid-range player's advantage is really nice, and so I think this card is very impactful. Could see main deck play, but definitely in the sideboard for now. And last but definitely not least, we have another really cool reprint in the form of Obstinate Baloth. Very, very powerful creature. Actually got downshifted, I believe, from rare to uncommon, which is pretty neat. 4 mana, 4/4, gain 4 life on ETB, and then if a spell or ability an opponent controls causes us to discard it, we get to put it onto the battlefield instead of discarding it to the graveyard. So very, very powerful effect against cards like Thoughtseize, Liliana of the Veil, any other form of discard effect. And I really like this card. It kind of reminds me of how Kitchen Finks was played a lot in the sideboard of old modern rock decks, where you would bring that card in against other mid-range decks, other control decks, and aggro decks. And I kind of see Baloth performing a similar role in that sense in Pioneer for BGX mid-range, where it could kind of sit as just a 1 or 2 in the sideboard. Obviously, we already know it's good against Rakdos mid-range, getting around Thoughtseize and Liliana just being really good, and Kroxa for that matter. However, it has other applications in the form of playing against any other mid-range deck that doesn't even play discard. Just being a 4 mana 4/4, gaining 4 life is surprisingly a really big tempo swing in my opinion, and a really nice body at that. And also very good against aggro. So I think that this is a very, very surprisingly versatile card that can just be, like I said, sit in the sideboard and come in against those mid-range and aggro decks and be very impactful. So I really like the reprint of Baloth in that sense. And that finishes off the spoilers thus far for BGX Midrange and Pioneer. Let me know your thoughts down below on what you thought of my thoughts on these cards and how they can apply to our archetype. I have provided some other cards that I thought were worth mentioning but not really worth explaining. We have Painful Quandary, a really cool reprint, Transmogran's Crown, Gix, and the Phyrexian Flesh Gorger. I thought these cards were worth mentioning, but like I said, not worth explaining, just because I don't think they're powerful and or synergistic enough for our archetype. But just wanted to put them out there, saying that they exist and it could be interesting to see in the future where they could go. But other than that, like I said, let me know your thoughts down below on the cards, on our archetype as a whole, and yeah. Hope you enjoyed the video. Consider subscribing if you like the content, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.